Hey guys, it's Tori. So today we are doing every book I read in 2022. Make sure you check out all my links down below, my Goodreads, my Amazon storefront, all my socials. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to my face, and let's get into every book I read in 2022. So I know the year isn't over yet, and I'm probably going to do a decent amount of reading the rest of December because I'm on Christmas break right now, so I have extra time on my hands. And with that extra time, I plan on reading and filming. So I definitely hope to get through a few more books this year, but if you want to see anything else I read, go look at my Goodreads because I've been keeping up to date with that. But 2022 was the year that I got back into reading. I have always loved to read, but throughout high school, I kind of lost the time and love for it with everything else I had going on. So 2022 was just the year I finally got back into reading, and I got back into reading in about March or something. And I know a lot of people got into it because of TikTok and stuff, but for me, that wasn't the case. I got back into reading because of my sister, actually. So I went to North Carolina to visit my sister over spring break because she moved there, and she recommended me this book. And I was like, okay, well, we're going to be laying by the pool, going to the beach and stuff. I might as well go get a few books. So we ran at Target, we grabbed a few books. I grabbed the one she recommended and a few others by the author. And the author and the book that she recommended was Ugly Love by Colleen Hoover. And that book is what sparked my love for reading all over again. And as you guys have seen the past few months, I have a very large book collection. Very large. And I would have thought I read more this year. And I could be forgetting something, honestly. But I think this is everything. And there is a ton of Colleen Hoover in here, so if you don't like her, this is not the video for you. We're just gonna hop on in. That's my little backstory, and let's get into all the books I read this year. Okay, so I think I have them in the order I read them. I only have 14 books, and for the amount of books I own, you'd think I read more. This is my stack. It's higher than it might look. But the very first book that I read this year was, like I said, Ugly Love by Colleen Hoover. I don't really know what happened to mine. Like, some of my pages are, like, coming out of it. I'm not entirely sure what happened. Like, it must have got damaged somehow. But this book is a 5-star read. Right off the bat, 5-star read. Absolutely obsessed with it. It's about Miles and Tate, brother's best friend trope. And basically, it's about this guy who is a pilot and this girl who's in college for nursing, and they like live across the hall from each other in the same apartment complex, and they meet because he's like laying outside this girl's apartment because she lives with her brother, and he's like super drunk, and she like takes care of him, and then that kind of sparks a bit of a friendship, and then they hang out because they're like in the same friend group because her older brother is this guy's best friend. And it's just so good. It's like basically no strings attached, only supposed to be, you know, intimate, but no relationship. Don't ever even think about it. It's never going to happen because Miles has this trauma that happened to him in the past. And throughout the entire book, you don't know what happened. You get a bit of backstory throughout the book, but it doesn't tell you until the end what really happened. And it kind of makes you understand a little bit why Miles tells her there can't be any feelings, even though they both are falling for each other. But it is so good. It is probably Colleen's smuttiest book, I would say. If you want a good smut, Colleen is not the place to go. She does not have a bunch of smut. But this one is probably her smuttiest, in my opinion. But this is so good. 5-star read. Absolutely recommend. If you need something to get you out of a book slump, this is the book for you. The next book I read, these first multiple are all Colleen, just so you know. November 9. I read this literally in one sitting. One sitting. I sat on my sister's couch and I finished this book in one sitting, and I bawled my goddamn eyes out. I bawled. This is so good. This is about a girl and a guy, and they meet on November 9th because the girl is sitting at a restaurant with her dad, and he's like just giving her a hard time. And so Ben walks in and he's like, "Oh, I'm so sorry, babe, I was late. Like, I didn't mean to be late. Nice to meet you." Like, he meets the dad. And she's like, "Who the hell is this guy and what is he doing?" Because that's not really her boyfriend. They didn't know each other at all. And he like basically saves her from this awkward situation with her dad. And then they spend the rest of the day together, and they decide that once a year on November 9th, every single year for the next 5 years, they are going to meet up. No communication, no social media, nothing in between. Just one day a year they're going to meet up at the exact same place. And so it goes throughout each year when they see each other, and also you get backstory of what each character did within that year between seeing each other again. And it gets very interesting. There's a huge plot twist. There's actually 2 big plot twists in my opinion, but this is my top favorite Colleen Hoover book. This is a 5-star read. This is amazing. I 1000% recommend this, and I honestly don't think it gets as much hype as it deserves. And personally, I like the other cover better, but this is the one I have. Next, I read Verity by Colleen Hoover. This, once again, I read in one sitting. I read this on the car ride back home, which was like, I don't know, a 10-hour car ride or something. And I think I finished this in like 5 hours maybe. This is, that I know of, really her only thriller book. But this is, once again, a 5-star read. This is so good. There's romance, thriller, mystery. It's about this girl who is an author, and she gets in a really bad accident and she can't write anymore. And so her husband is trying to find someone who can finish off her like best-selling series. And so he finds this girl, and so she comes and lives in this house that Verity, which is the author who can't write anymore, and her husband live in, and their son, and she just like continues writing the series for Verity. And you learn a lot about Verity and her life and a lot of bad things that she's done. And while that's happening, the new author and the husband are having like an affair basically. But it's so good. And I have not read the extra chapter. I have the book, that like the limited edition one, but I just have not read the extra chapter yet because I would like to reread the whole book before I read it. So I have a bunch of other books, clearly, that I want to read first before I do that. But 5-star read, so good. Now this one is going to be a little controversial for people. This is It Ends With Us by Colleen Hoover. This is probably her most popular book of all time. She came out with basically a very long epilogue for this book. It's called It Starts With Us. That came out in October. This, for me, is like a 3-star. I'm sorry if you're someone who's obsessed with it. I don't get the hype. There's so many trigger warnings for this book. First of all, there is abuse, sex abuse, domestic violence. It's just a very toxic relationship, and it seems like it's all going to be perfect at the beginning, and then you are blindsided, and it is just an absolute shit show. But you get Lily's point of view from now and when she was in high school, and so you get 2 different romances. You get her now relationship with Ryle, and you get her back then relationship with Atlas. And this book is just, it's good, but it's not my top pick. I would never tell someone, oh my god, you absolutely have to read this book. Next is Maybe Someday by Colleen Hoover, and this is my second favorite book from her. I am obsessed with this. I'm obsessed with it, and this is a trilogy. They're not exactly, like, you don't have to read them all. Like, you could read just this one, and you probably could just read the second one. I haven't read the second one, and nor do I plan to, but I did read the third one, because the second one is about a different couple from this friend group, and then the third book is about this couple again. But this is about Sydney, and basically she catches her boyfriend cheating on her with her best friend. And so she moves out literally like instantly. She ends up moving in with this guy named Ridge who lives in the same apartment complex just until she can find some place to go on her own. And Ridge is deaf, so I really like that there's some like deaf awareness in this, and he's also in a band, and he's a songwriter, so he's super talented when it comes to music. And so basically Ridge and Sydney basically fall in love with each other, and they're not supposed to because Ridge has a girlfriend, and there's a lot of ooey gooiness, and it's just so good. I love this book so much, and there's some twists and turns in it, and it's just so good. It is so good. 5-star read. Totally recommend this. A lot of people don't think this deserves the hype that I think it does. Like, this should be one of Colleen's most highly rated books, and for some reason it's not, but it's amazing and I love it. Next is All Your Perfects by Colleen. This one is a no from me. Basically, it is about this married couple, and you get them in present time having a bunch of struggles and just not being in a happy, healthy relationship, and then you get them back then when they first met and their love story and when they were falling in love. There's trigger warnings in here for sure. Look them up if you're planning on or thinking about reading this book. But I just can't, I don't know what it is. This for me is probably, once again, like a 3.5 star. I personally wouldn't recommend it to anybody. If you haven't read it, I don't think you need to unless you're reading all of Colleen's backlist. Then you might want to. But it's just not for me. Next is Regretting You. This is also by Colleen. And if I'm not mistaken, I gave this a 3 or 3.5 star. I can't remember. This one is okay. It's about this daughter and this mom, and you kind of get backstory on the mother, and you get current day, the daughter struggling in like her forbidden relationship with this guy. And basically something happens, and it really, really affects both the mom and the daughter. And then you learn that there's this huge scandal going on within the situation. And it's basically just like the mom trying to understand her daughter, and they just don't get along, and they just argue all the time. And then the mom ends up having a romance as well, which is a little controversial in my personal opinion, but whatever. But you get a bunch of different time frames and a bunch of different point of views. You get the mom's point of view of now and back when she was in high school, and you get the daughter's point of view from now, and it just, there's a lot, and it can be a little bit much. And I thought it was good, but once again, I wouldn't recommend it. Now we have something that's not Colleen. This is Love and Olives. I read Love and Gelato last year, and I loved it. This one, once again, was super, super good. Basically, this little, like, trilogy, there's another one, it's called Love and Luck. I had it, and then it got ruined in my car accident last year, so I never got to read it. But it's just, like, about a high school girl who travels. They're different girls, each book, by the way. But basically the premise is they get forced by a parent or something to go on a trip, and they end up, like, meeting someone who was, like, drastic to their life, and there's romance, and it's a cute little book. I think I rated this one 4 stars. Love and Gelato is definitely my favorite, but this one's still good. Love and Gelato, the movie, do not watch it. It's horrible. It sucks. Terrible representation. But I can't give you a whole lot of backstory because I don't fully remember, but it was good. I remember liking it. I would recommend it for sure. Next, we have The Deal by L. Kennedy. And this book is so good. I have the second one in the series, and I plan on buying the rest because how could you not? But this was literally just so good. Like, this was so, so good. I definitely would say this is like a 4.5 star book for me. But this is the off-campus series, and it's about this girl, Hannah, who has a really hard time having boyfriends, and she has intimacy issues. And there's this guy from the hockey team. His name is Grwm, and basically they make a deal with each other that Garrett is going to help make Hannah's, like, college crush fall for her by making him jealous for her being with Grwm. And Grwm is just, he's amazing. A great book boyfriend. I'm obsessed with him. I love them. Their friend group is super fun, which is why I want to continue the series. I don't know why I haven't yet. I have so many books. I have so many books to get through. But this is good. I liked it. I would recommend for sure. There's some smut in it. There is a slight trigger warning for sexual assault, we'll say. But super good. Highly recommend. Very, very good book. Just, I love her. This, Love in Other Words by Christina Lauren. I read this in one night, in one sitting. Literally, I laid in bed, started this around dinner time, and I stayed up until I finished this bitch. And oh my god, did I love every second. It was an emotional roller coaster. I cried. I was invested. I was obsessed. I was absorbed into Christina Lauren's writing. This is just so freaking good. So freaking good. So basically, this is about Macy. And when she was younger, her and her dad had a, like, I don't think it's really like a lake house, but they had like a cabin as like a little vacation home for them. And the first time when they're trying to move in, there's this boy in her room. And she's like, what are you doing in here? And he's like, oh, like, I like to read in here. And they're both obsessed with books. And they end up basically for like 6 or 7 years, they have a really strong friendship. They're childhood best friends. And then something happens and they go from best friends to lovers to strangers back to lovers. And oh my god, this is so good. So you get the past point of view and the present, and eventually you find out why Macy basically completely dropped Elliot, and it's just so good. It's so good. You're gonna want the tissues for this one, but I'm telling you, you have to read this book. I ate it up. Next, we have Confess by Colleen Hoover. This is super, super good. Auburn and Owen. And basically, Auburn is like a hairstylist, and Owen owns a gallery, and he's like a painter. And she is looking for some extra cash because there's this reason that she really, really needs money. And Owen's like, oh, like, I'll give you a job. I'll pay you $100 an hour if you just help me sell these paintings. And basically, they end up falling in love, and you find out something about their past that Macy never even knew, and it's just super, super good. There's a bunch of issues that happen in this book, and it's just really good. I recommend. My last Colleen book for the year was Maybe Now. This is the third book from Maybe Someday. This one is back to Ridge and Sydney's relationship, but you also get Ridge's ex-girlfriend's point of view in this. There's a lot of point of views in here, actually. I think there's 4 or 5, maybe. This is super, super good. You kind of get 2 storylines and 2 relationships in one. It's really, really good. I really liked it. This one is probably about a 4-star once again. Super good, super cute. I just really like these characters in this little series, and so this one was a really fun read for me. Next, we have Twisted Love by Anna Huang. This is the first book in the Twisted series. This is a 5-star read for me. She looks small, but she is heavy. Like, this is, I believe, over 400 pages. Oh, it's like 350. But I read this one pretty quick, actually. There are 4 books in this series. I have all of them, but my friend is borrowing the last one right now, so I only have 2 of them in my bookshelf. But this is about Alex and Ava, and basically Alex is Ava's brother's best friend, and Ava's brother is like going abroad for like a job opportunity, and so he asks Alex to look over Ava and watch out for her and just keep an eye on her while he's gone. And basically they end up falling in love, and there is a lot of shit that happens. This is super smutty for sure, like very in detail, but there's also some fucked up stuff that happens in here. And Alex has a very fucked up past, and so does Ava, and so it's just very interesting, and it's good, and I recommend. 5-star read, 100%. The last book I have read so far this year is The Inheritance Games by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. 5-star, absolutely obsessed. I don't even know what genre. I mean, it's technically YA, but like, I don't really know how to explain it. There's mystery, there's a little bit of a subplot of romance, but it's about this girl named Avery, and she basically has a really shitty life, and she lives out of her car, and she's like 16, 17, and she's super smart, and she's trying to work her way up into getting scholarships from college by working her ass off. And all of a sudden, she gets a phone call, and they're like, hey, you were put in this guy's inheritance, and we need you to come all the way to Texas to be there when we read the will. And she's like, well, I don't even know who this person is. What the fuck are you talking about? And so she goes there, and she finds out that she inherited billions of dollars from someone she's never even met. And so basically in this book, you have 4 brothers. They're the Hawthorne brothers, and there is a 4th book that's not technically related to these, but it is sort of, that's coming out in October of 2023, and God, am I excited about that. I'm currently reading the 2nd one, and the final gambit's up there. But anyways, there's 4 brothers, and she kind of has like a bit of a romance with 2 of them. And basically the whole story, they're trying to figure out why Avery got chosen to get the inheritance and why the grandkids and like the brothers didn't get it instead. And people are trying to kill Avery in this book, and people are mad, and it's just super good. So good. This is perfect if you're in a reading slump. I finished this in just a few days, and I gave it 5 stars. I'm obsessed. I loved it. I'm not sure I'm going to love the rest of the series as much, but this one was so good. Definitely recommend. So those are the 14 books I read in 2022. I know it's not a lot, especially compared to how many books I own, but like I said, I had a lot going on this year, and I had just gotten back into reading, and I definitely had like a 2-month-long book slump where I literally could not get through a book. I tried and I just couldn't. But those are all the books I read. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to my face. Check out all my socials down below, as well as my Goodreads and my Amazon storefront. Let me know what videos you guys would like to see next. And I love you all, and I will see you next time. Bye! Actually, can we just take a second to appreciate my hoodie really fast? I'm obsessed. Love her. Okay, bye.